brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking hosts, the good old boys. Suds. It's time for more Suds.
Everyone, turn your sound up.
Yes.
It is time
don't
for...
you mean down?
It's always
I think we should just directly bribe people.
good advice to turn it up, right?
Come on over, guys.
Always.
Drink some beer with us.
Tune in, turn on.
That's it.
Okay, fine. Well, welcome to another Sud segment where good beer meets really bizarre radio.
Questionable.
And, yes.
From Maine.
Yeah. So I am your hostess, good old gal Julieanna, and with me today at the table is good old boy Dave.
I am your father's brother's nephew's cousin's former roommate.
I knew it. I'm surrounded.
Who is a cross-dresser.
Forgot what we were doing there.
Don't be looking under the table.
I love that epithet.
Oh, I'm looking under the table. Ladies and gents, good old boy Dave. Okay. Also with me at the table is a very befunkled good old boy Caperton.
What did he say?
I just knew that was like he had this face on look on his face like I am roadkill.
Don't make me repeat that.
That was crazy, man. Hey, everybody. Hi.
Oh boy. Also with us today, good old boy Drew.
Great to be here.
Why, thank you.
He had 8 other things he could possibly be doing today, and this was not even in his top 3. So,
But yet we dragged him out here.
All the way out to the ends of the earth here.
Yes. The ends of
The bunker.
the earth.
The Sip, Suds, and Smokes.
The bunker.
basement.
Undisclosed
The
location.
basement.
Yes. And also with us, of course, is El Jefe himself.
Hello, everyone. This is not the way I'm going to be sounding all day today as we're talking about all things Maine. This is good old boy Mike.
El Jefe.
Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah. And how El Jefe.
El Hefte.
No,
Like Bobby Kennedy.
I feel a deeper concern for all of us as Americans.
There you go.
Wow.
Definitely.
That's not even the right state.
It's not. I just figured that out, too.
Oh, man. Okay. It's going to be a tough one, folks.
Maybe I should audition for another show.
Yeah. Strap in. It's going to be a tough one. Okay. So today's episode, yay, I'm so excited. We have a collection of beers from our visit. Well, a local visit. Well, some of us who visited Maine.
Yes.
Lots of great stuff in Maine. Yes. Lots of great Maine and stuff.
Did you visit
And
or just
stuff.
get exceptionally lost for like 3 days?
Was there a difference?
It is Maine, right?
Yeah.
We saw more main streets in Maine than like in the rest of the country.
Turn Google off. I
Mainly.
know where I'm going.
Oh, you don't have to turn it off.
Google, yeah. Google
doesn't
probably
get-
doesn't get to
It
Maine,
doesn't
does
go
it?
there.
Yeah.
Whatever. I really loved it.
Yeah.
There were lighthouses. There were lobster rolls.
Lobster.
Yeah. See, now I got your
Okay.
attention. Tons of seafood and great air. But besides that,
Oxygen.
and on
Maine air.
exactly.
In search of that air,
I
y'all.
almost smell Canada from here.
Actually, I think we did.
I smelled it. I snilled it. I mean, sniffed it.
But on top of that, the best part about it was the beer. There was some really great beer. Now, we don't know much about any of these beers or the breweries, but we had a lot of fun collecting them. And we have even more fun drinking them. But before we get started, this Suds episode is brought to you by...
The law offices of Scratchers J. Scratcherton, attorney at law. Are you a kitty? Do you need an attorney? Come on down to the law offices of Scratchers J. Scratcherton. Scratchers J. Scratcherton, attorney at law. She'll fight for her clients, giving justice the claw. Scratchers J. Scratcherton is not licensed to practice law in any of the 50 states.
So, let's get this going. Good old boy Drew, would you mind giving us a rundown of today's great beers?
The beers that we'll be tasting and discussing today are Maine Island Trail Ale from the Rising Tide Brewing Company in Portland, Maine. Also, the Sou'Wester Sour IPA, also from Rising Tide. The Gunner's Daughter Milk Stout from Mast Landing Brewing Company in Westbrook, Maine. And then the Daikaiju Double IPA from Banded Horn Brewing Company in Biddeford, Maine. A Beer Has No Name Double IPA from Liquid Riot Bottling Company in Portland, Maine. The Galaxy Dry Hopped Kettle Sour from Four River Brewing Company, South Portland, Maine. The Waves Vic Secret IPA from Good Fire Brewing Company. And the Prime Citra IPA, also from Good Fire in Portland. And then the Burnside Brown Ale and the Venture Maine IPA, both from Foundation Brewing Company in Portland, Maine.
Whew. They got a lot of brewers.
That's a lot of beer.
It's a lot
There's
of beer.
also a lot of Portland there. What's the South Portland? What's their problem? What's their beef with the rest of Portland? Sorry. I just noticed that. It's like South Portland. What's up with that?
To start
Into the road.
Just
Never
representing
think
the
that you're
South
lost,
Side.
so you're not. Just take a left. Don't look like a road, but that's where you're going to want to take a left there.
Yeah, those are typical New England directions.
I'm not sure
Doesn't
what
look
just
like a
happened
road,
there.
but go over there. It is a road.
Go to Uncle Bucky's and then go down there where Chuck hit a tree once and then turn left and yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
I'm
that's
not
a
very good at
lot
that.
of beers.
That was awesome. All right. Good old boy Mike, I know you've been waiting to do this all day. Give us the Suds ratings.
Now, before you do this, I want to say that Julieanna and I really enjoyed our time in Maine and would like to have the option to go back there.
They want to let it.
So now, proceed.
So you're saying that the ban that I'm about to inflict upon us
You know
is
what?
really
No
just
pressure.
aimed at me?
Once again.
I'm just going. I'm going to go ahead and put it out
Okay,
there.
good. All right. We will be discussing and rating these Maine beers with the Suds ratings plus our signature belching sounds. Here are those ratings now in my favorite New England accent from Bahaba. We're going to talk about all the Suds ratings for today. Number 1, that sucks. Give me anything but a Bud, but bring me a LeBlat. Number 2, was that a belch or was that Aunt Martha? We always say this down in Bahaba. Ah, what a relief. Oh, I think that was Uncle Larry, actually, that time. Number 4 is, I say to this to all my fellow Americans, a body should really not make that sound. And we say this all the time. Every time somebody walks by, listen to that hang time, give me a number. That's a number 5 top rating there. So all of you grabs a lobster roll, and we're going to have a good time here today.
Got 3 lawnmowers, 4 4-wheelers, 6 dirt bikes, couple boats, you know.
It's over where that beaver did that thing over by the road. There's not a road, just turn left. You'll see it.
Oh boy.
Okay, I think that was just enough embarrassing there. Yeah.
I'm a partial resident of New Hampshire. I am allowed to make fun of my fellow neighbors, okay? So
Okay. Well, before we get started, these were the top 3 beers that we collectively thought were the raddest of rad. First of all was the Prime Citra IPA from Good Fire Brewing Company. The second one was the Waves Vic Secret IPA. Sensing an IPA theme. And the third one was Gunner's Daughter's Milk Stout. Now, we will say all of our ratings, our collective ratings at the end of the episode. But now, good old boy Dave, why don't you tell us your top 3 of the flight?
Sure. So, 2 of my top 3 are both from the same brewery, Good Fire. The Prime and the
waves.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks. Sorry.
That other one.
Thanks for the help. So the Prime with the Citra is just really nice, soft beer to me. Juicy, kind of great mouthfeel to it. It's a very well done example of a New England IPA. So I really enjoyed that one. The Waves is kind of the same deal. The Vic Secret. I really like the heavy tropical notes and the waves from those Vic Secret hops. I think that it's a really good showcase for that particular hop. And if you enjoy Vic Secret or Victoria's Secret, so like, you know, if you were looking at a Victoria's Secret catalog while drinking this beer, that would probably be a really good time.
Increase your enjoyment, you would say?
Yes.
Okay.
You might, you know, kind of lose your train of thought from time to time, but still. The third beer that I enjoyed, well, I enjoyed several. This one is going to be controversial, I think.
Good.
From Banded Horn Brewing Company, the Daikaiju. Now, there are some folks at this table who don't think it's juicy and don't think it has a nice aroma and flavor. I'm not one of those. I think it has a great mouthfeel. I think it's very well rounded. It's a pretty big beer. There's a nice lingering bitterness at the end. It has a nice kind of dry finish to me.
Dirt.
No dirt. That is, we call it earth. Earthy.
Earthy dirt. I didn't care for that.
Yeah. Hey, listen, this is my time, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, you'll get your turn. Anyways, that was my third top 3 beer. And so I would just like to close out my section by saying that anyone who disagrees with me is not stupid, just wrong.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't mind being
It's
wrong.
a good one to keep in mind at home, kids.
I'm wrong all the time.
That is. So the beers that Dave was talking about.
Need more flannels.
So the Daikaiju double IPA from Banded Horn Brewing Company in Biddeford is an 8.7 ABV.
See, that's big.
Big nose full of cantaloupe, pine, and citrus. It is loaded with dry fruits and hop resin with notes of black pepper and mint.
Resin.
A huge, intense double IPA that remains dangerously balanced and drinkable.
See, it's dangerous.
Yes.
Anything with a name like Daikaiju, it's got to be dangerous. I don't know what that means, but it probably means like, I'll whoop your,
Well,
whatever.
We will be back shortly with more descriptions and more beer. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's episode, we are talking about some really interesting, cool, and crazy beers from Maine, along with some really interesting, cool, and crazy accents from New England. But
They got them in camo.
But we were talking about Good Old Boy Dave's top 3 that he had, and the first one was the Daikaiju Double IPA from Banded Horn. Then the other 2 that he talked about that he enjoyed was the Prime Citra IPA and the Waves Vic Secret IPA, both from Good Fire Brewing Company. Yes.
Fire.
The Prime Citra IPA is a 6.5% IPA, and then the Waves is a 7.2% IPA.
That's more than the other one.
It is.
7 is bigger than 6.
Yes. Very good. Oh, you did do your math homework this week.
Here, you can use my fingers again, Dave.
Hey, I've got one finger for you. How about that one?
And 11.
And he's number 1. Okay. Moving on, kids.
Anywho.
Yes.
So much aggression.
Good old boy Caperton.
won't
Why don't
stand.
you tell us about your top 3?
My top 3, these, a lot of beers. So, my top 3 actually reflected the sort of the overall group's top 3. It was the Prime Citra, again, from, Good Fire.
Yep.
And that was just with those 2 hops. I mean, Amarillo and Citra.
It's hard to mess up.
It's man, you're already off to a really great start. But it was just super juicy and super hazy and super duper. I really
So it
liked
was
that.
super?
Yeah, it was a super beer. And are we doing Suds rating?
No. Just keep going. Keep going.
Okay, keep going. My number 2 then was from Good Fire as well, and that was the Waves, the Vic Secret IPA, and it was just delicious as well.
So you're basically copying me.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. If I had to pick of those 2, though, I would pick the Prime Citra over the Waves.
Yeah.
And my number 3.
What is that? I'm copying you, but I'm not. What? Is that like
yet I
a
am.
convenient method of
Yeah.
engagement?
Yeah, we're agreeing. We're not
picked
copying.
the same two
It's not
beers, but I
copying.
don't like what you said
He's
about it.
all like covering up his work and stuff, and we're just agreeing, man.
I'm not copying you. I'm improving upon what you've
That's
done.
right. I'm concurring, brother.
Standing on the shoulders of those who came before you.
Yeah. And then my number 3 is the Gunner's Daughter. What was the brewery?
Mast Landing.
Mast Landing.
Yeah.
As opposed to Knott's Landing.
And for a milk stout, I thought that was a lovely beer. It was very balanced. It was not overly sweet, and it didn't necessarily chocolate and peanut butter. You sort of think Reese's Cup maybe, but I thought more of the peanut butter cookie, Nutter Butter. Yeah, and chocolate.
I thought when you first smell it, it has that kind of like a bag of peanuts, kind of like really roasted, like
It was
going to
tasty. And I don't. That's not my favorite style. So
You wrote down
Big
almost
props.
the exact same thing I did. I just said dark chocolate peanut butter cup would be the only.
Yeah.
Seriously,
See?
not overtly sweet. That was exactly what I wrote down. So
Yeah,
He's nuts for this beer.
it's good.
I guess he is.
it's growing
yes.
on me.
Oh, well, that's.
I'm getting there.
Nice.
Well, the thing I like about that beer is that the lactose wasn't an invasion.
Right.
Agreed.
You know?
It all too frequently is.
Yeah, that's kind of the slip up that a lot of people make.
Some people
with
we
milk
know
stouts.
tend to
Put a little too much lactose.
if they buy a 50-pound bag of lactose,
You
they
don't have to use it all.
But they use a 50, because you don't want to have that like little pound and
Less
a
is
half
more.
left in the back.
I mean, it's pretty dry for a milk stout, man. I mean, it really is.
Very, very
It's
balanced.
It's very drinkable.
And then also of note on that, it is only 5.5%.
There you go.
That's
You
a
know,
lot of
and it
flavor on
tastes
that
a
thing.
lot bigger to me. But anyways.
That's what she said.
Thank you very much. Moving on. Good old boy Drew. Why don't we talk about your top 3 if they don't have anything to do with the other two's top 3?
Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending upon how you look at it, two of my top 3 were also mentioned previously.
Come on, Drew.
I know. The Gunner's Daughter, delicious. As we have said already.
What type of peanut butter cup do you think it is?
I would have to agree with the dark chocolate.
Yeah,
as far as if we're in that debate, but
Grady
no.
can't even pick
Mike,
his own
have you ever had a
chocolate candy,
Colts
you know?
Bolt? Do you know what I'm
Yes.
talking about?
Oh, those are
things
good.
are delicious.
Yeah,
There's a
those
dark
are-
chocolate. They make
Those
a dark
are made
chocolate.
in Nashville, Tennessee.
They are.
And an original
Dave's
candy.
hometown.
Yeah, right outside. So there are 2 really great candies that are made in Nashville, Tennessee. Goo Goo clusters.
Yes.
And Colts
The
Bolts. Yeah.
Goo
So
cluster.
Yeah, she was a hee-haw honey. Anyway,
right next to
back to
Yazoo
Drew.
Brewing.
Drew was talking.
Yeah.
I will
sorry.
have to say that I do not agree as far as the Good Fire Prime over the Good Fire Waves. The Good Fire Waves made my top 3. The Prime
Okay.
did not.
They were
Controversy.
But
I like
love
it.
I love Vic's Secret. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
no secret. Yeah, that was bad. That was bad. Sorry, everyone.
I reluctantly gave you that rim shot.
Mm,
You will not get another one for that quality of joke.
understood.
You gotta
Understood.
step it up now.
Well, I will probably introduce a little bit of controversy. My top 3. I very enjoyed the Sou'Wester from Rising
Nice.
Tide.
Nice.
Yeah.
I
What
approached
planet?
it. I approached it as a sour, not as an IPA. So, they call it a sour IPA created by the production assistant Missy. Good job,
Good job, Missy.
Originally brewed as a pilot beer in the spring of 2017, Sou'Wester is bright, crisp, and tart with orange and grapefruit notes. As Saka, Citra, Mandarina dry hop, Turo Pale.
I feel
Darko
like I'm in
Rye.
a My Little Pony commercial or something all of a sudden. It's like,
Are you happy?
it's like it's bright,
Yeah.
it's crisp, it's tart, it has orange and grapefruit.
It sounds like
But it's good.
it is good.
I
It is
don't,
good.
I don't get why they call it an
Gee whiz.
IPA though.
There's a bitter finish to it.
Well, what?
you know?
What? Okay, so what word would you put after sour?
A mess.
Sour mess.
I wouldn't call it a mess, but it tasted
sourpuss.
it tasted sort of weedy to me, like a Berliner Weiss.
so, like,
a
if
little
they called it a Berliner Weiss or just a sour
Yeah.
sour
There
ale,
is wheat in
dry hop
bit.
sour ale.
Yeah,
Just
I might-
pretend that India Pale those words are not there.
it was a little thin though.
Dry hop
it was,
sour
it
ale.
was
Oh, but see, that's why I liked it.
Yeah,
I like
I mean,
the
it's
thinness
drinkable.
of it because it is very. I mean, I could
It's
drink a couple
approachable.
cans of this. You know what I mean?
I could get down with it.
So I think for somebody that likes aromatic hops meets something that's got a little tartness, but not
just don't
going into the whole Berliner,
Yeah.
spectrum of it. I think this is a good marriage.
there may not be any wheat in it at all, but it doesn't play like an IPA.
I agree with her. I like a little tart.
It's just a bad idea. I mean, so how many, if somebody walked up to you now, see, there you go. That's a typical reaction.
Choked up.
No, I heard you
choked
talking
up on that
and
beer.
You just, you get that guttural
I get
feeling.
choked up when you start.
Well, I mean, if a brewer walked up to you today and said, I am going to make a sour IPA, what would be your first reaction? Sign me up, buddy.
Can I have some for free?
Well, you can't. So, in the presence of hops, you can't get bacteria to sour, right? So, so you would have to make a sour beer,
Then dry
which is
hop.
what
And
this
then dry
tastes,
hop
which is what this tastes like,
Yeah.
and then dry hop
hop.
it. So it didn't really the dry hopping part of it
Didn't work.
didn't seem to really pop. You
I've
know?
had though, but I mean, I think McKellar or Evil Twin made like a.
Oh,
kind
I've
of
had
a-
some that were good.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this type of beer
It's a little
is
bad
possible.
It is possible. It's a little bit of a misnomer, though, to
Yeah.
call it an IPA.
I would
Because
just
really,
look-
you're brewing a sour. Am I wrong, though? You're brewing a sour beer and then you're dry hopping it. I mean, that would be, or blending it or whatever. I guess there are other.
I agree with
methods,
you.
but-
The time in which you're injecting the hops could have some point of variability. Yeah. And it depends on the sour culture. you're
Well,
using
but
as well.
what if
Can't
you
have many IBUs, though, for
But what if
souring
you
bacteria.
kettle sour it or
No.
or sour mash it and then
As you just
then it's
said
already
no.
sour, but then you boil and you do your hops
It
then.
would taste
Yeah.
just like this.
I guess. Yeah. Mike's right. Mike got that one.
You know what? Don't you ever? I don't want to
Those
ever
words,
hear those
yeah.
words out of your mouth again.
Yeah,
Wow.
So that was Drew. It wasn't super offensive or anything.
I'm sorry. I would look at any brewer that would say that they want to do this, and I would say, why? This is a bad idea.
I
It
think
just
it's
is.
valid.
I liked it.
If you're
Julie
expecting
liked
a broad
it.
Yeah.
consumer approach,
Drew
going
I
on,
love
sign me
aggressively
up.
dry hopped sour ales. I really do. AKA,
so,
whatever.
I mean-
sour IPAs.
Whatever.
So I agree.
Sour IPAs.
That should be your new catchphrase.
AKA whatever.
Whatever. I like that. You have to have the hand gesture to
Yeah,
it as
yeah,
well, right? Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
But I agree with your observation that I think that if they had kicked the hops up,
Yep.
or called it something different,
Punch
like
it up a
like
little.
a messed up sour,
It played a
either
little
one
safe.
of those would have been fine. with
Wow,
me.
yeah. Let's imagine the can art on that one. Hey, this is our messed up sour.
Well, if you're going to commit to it. You know, that's all I'm saying. All right.
I'm gonna make a beer
A
called
lot of
Mike,
controversy there.
Mike
Drew.
hates it.
Yeah, I know. Look at the can that
Stirred
you
it
opened up.
up. Stirred it up. Boy, it's good. That's where
But
the
you know-
magic happens, where the friction. Where there's
But I'm going to
hot.
agree with you, and I think this is a great beer to go with lobster.
There you go. Oh,
You know, like fresh lobster.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there. This is
Oarsman. Hey, it reminds me a lot of Bell's
it's kind of Oarsman.
little
Yeah,
bit.
it's kind of Oarsman.
There's a fisherman on that label of that beer.
There you go.
There's somebody in a boat on this one too.
Trust
There
the
you go.
horse.
There you
So
go.
there's that.
There you go.
Oh, with a lot of holes.
I don't think I'm wrong about the weed
Oh
either.
my gosh. Okay. Thank you very much for your selection, sir. Now, good old boy Mike.
No, go past this. Past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Well, as much as we would like to say no, we have to.
Let me write that down.
You got it.
Remove Dave from
was
the
on
soundboard from the following episodes.
Okay, so you got any?
I do. So
I'd like to talk about these other
What do
beers
you
that
think,
weren't on the
Mike?
show.
What do you think about these beers?
Well, so two of my top three were the exact same. Leads us, Dave. They're both the ones from Good Fire, and were in my top three. So I'll take each of these. So the Waves with the Vic's Secret IPA.
Vic's Secret.
Vic.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who is Vic?
I know. I said
It
Victoria
was tasty.
earlier.
It was a really good blend. I mean, I that was the thing I really loved. It was very, it was absolutely one of the most approachable beers that we had in this flight. It just would be something that I could have over and over and over again. It reminded me of a lot of people that are kind of pursuing a really good NEIPA blend. And this one happened to be made with Vic's Secret. I will say that, sorry about that. I really enjoy the one from Trillium that's made with Vic's Secret, probably a lot better than this. But
That's a good one. Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting to have, two places that were in some fairly close proximity, and probably sourcing, those hops from the same place, and the stark contrast probably between them. So, but I really enjoyed the Waves Vic's Secret IPA from Good Fire Brewing. Great beer. The other one also from Good Fire Brewing Company, the Prime Citra IPA, was also a great choice. I thought the Citra in this blend was a bit light. I kind of would have enjoyed maybe a bit more presence around that particular part of the hop blend. It was hoppy. It is really headed in the right direction. And I don't know. To me, it was just a bit muted, kind of all the way around. I don't know. That's just because it is an IPA, and if it maybe had been a double, it might have kicked things up, a notch or two. But I thought I thought both of these are really great beers. I would totally crush the Waves all day long. The Prime, I would probably have one and be done with it. But good beer, though. I really enjoyed it.
Nummy.
Yeah,
so we've talked about those two previously. The one beer I think I'm going to talk about I have not heard us mention is from the Liquid Riot Bottling Company, which is
cool.
A Beer Has No Name, double IPA.
Yes.
So,
because if you weren't going to talk about it, I was.
So here are a couple of my tasting notes around.
You guys are so predictable.
Beer Has No Name.
I knew you both would like that beer.
I thought that so very different, than everything else, and part of it is because the makeup of this is a British base malt. We were speculating what that might be. We were thinking it was going to be Maris Otter, would have been the malt base around this.
I taste a lot of otter in it.
That's what it tastes like to me.
And
Furry.
the other thing it claims is Idaho 7, which is not something that you really see a lot of commercial brewers using.
Right.
So I really thought in the last thing in this hop profile was the Chinook. And I thought the Chinook was kind of forward in this hop profile. And I think part of it is when you look at some of the other hops that are there, I can see it kind of acquiescing or overpowering some of the other things that were there, depending on how much Mosaic and Citra you added. I thought they were there. They were just kind of hanging out in the background with jazz hands, and that was about it. But I thought the Chinook was right there.
Chinook's a rough trick. It'll take over.
I think the one distinctive element about this particular beer was there was a lot more body, to this. I mean, this beer was like, hello, I am here.
Yeah. Good
I'm
point.
going to hang out here, and all this is just going to be hanging out in your mouth for a little while.
Whoa.
This is beer. It is beer time. I felt the
Beer time.
the flow of fake British accents coming on going,
Oh no.
oh, no.
No.
I think you should have another beer right after this one, for sure. So I thought it was a really great beer all around. The 8.2 ABV, I thought was a bit of a surprise when I read that. I didn't taste like probably that heavy of a boozy beer. And I don't know if it's just because of some of that taste profile. I was thinking, oh, this is like a nice, 5-6% at best.
Are we
So
pretty much just in the world of 8% is about average for IPAs now? I mean,
Yep.
that used to be
Yep.
like
It's seeming that
double
way.
Yep.
Yeah.
IPA, almost barley
I think
wine.
a lot of beer consumers, should I say that, are like, tell you those beers are popular, and then lower ABV beers are not so popular. I think people
having the
like to
rise of
give
the session as
people
well,
like to
though.
give
Yeah.
away. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there goes that argument.
Well, but that's what I'm
but
saying,
I think
but,
a lot of people like to get wasted when they go. I mean, we've all heard people
Yeah.
at tap rooms say, "I just want whatever your highest
Or
ABV."
I guess
beer
it's part of it that like some of these breweries charge so much for these beers.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
well, if I'm going to pay,
right.
$5 a can for a beer, you better have some.
Easier for the
I want to drink
punch.
one. I don't want to have to drink two.
Easier for the end buyer there to make the
Well,
punch.
it kind of goes back to that prior conversation we were having when we were talking about the sour IPA, which is if a brewer walked up to me and said, "Hey, I am going to make an IPA with a British base malt, a British malt base." Sorry. I mean, I would just kind of, and they were talking about actually not using any noble hops around it. And I'd go, oh, I'm sorry. Wait, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Is there like some recipe that somebody told you that this was going to be great or what?
But like, I think most northeastern breweries probably would lean on a lot of British base malts. Because that's where IPA started from. Plus, a lot of their yeasts are based on British ale yeast too. I mean, a very
nice
specific
ester,
one in Stowe, Vermont that I won't name.
Yeah.
Their famous yeast started as a British ale yeast. So yeah.
Well, I really thought it was all working really well, and it definitely made my my top 3. I think definitely, if I had to put this beer like in a category, I would say if you have had 400 IPAs and you are ready for something that is different and still very good,
Go for
I
this.
would have to say you need to put this on your menu of something you would put in front of everybody and go, try that, man. Let me know what you think about that. I think that would probably be in that category.
It's a good way to describe it.
Too much Chinook for me.
Too much Chinook for you.
Tastes a little oniony.
Yeah,
Really?
and I agree. And I said that the Chinook was a bit forward.
Yeah, I wrote that
I probably
down,
would
too.
have played around the hot blend a little bit more and maybe knocked up the citrus.
Not a huge
just
fan of
bit.
Mosaic. I know you guys all are.
Whoa, get out right now.
Wow.
Those two together, I'm not surprised. I didn't care for that beer.
And for me, great use of the Idaho 7. Well, we'll be back in just a minute. Hey, everyone.
Turn left at the Beaver Trail.
Thank you that you're still here with us.
I was at that bar once.
There's
Oh,
a-
wait, sorry, never mind.
Are they still there?
I think
They
what's
are.
interesting is I'm finishing the milk stout first. And, my rule of thumb is whichever tasting cup you're actually finishing first is actually your number 1. So there you go.
Just
And
to
the
say,
plot
Mike had
thickens.
sort of, he was a naysayer a little bit at first, and it's grown on.
Milk stout with peanut butter.
Oh.
I just
Ridiculous.
I didn't say it was bad.
Off with its head.
Correct. I just thought it was a Canadian version of milk stout.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Man.
Thank you guys for still continuing to listen to us.
Both of you.
As we wax poetic about these some really cool beers and some really interesting hop selections from Maine. So now we get to talk about my favorite beers.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
8.
All yes.
Number 9.
Yeah, no. So yes, I'm going to agree. I mean, collectively, we did come up with the top 3, and I totally agree with those. But everyone has essentially said everything that I'm ever going to say about those beers. So there's that. Okay, the Mast Landing that stout is like absolutely divine. The Liquid Riot is so cool, and again, guys at Liquid Riot, I'm really impressed by your hop selection, and that's really cool that you're thinking outside the box, and I'm really enjoying this, and I need to find more of your beer. But the other 2 that I wanted to talk about was from Foundation. Sadly, we did not talk about these beers yet, so that's cool because now I get to talk about them. Yes. So the first one that I want to talk about
Am
is...
I allowed to chime in?
Depending on your answer.
Thank
Survey
you, Dave.
says.
I appreciate the counseling.
Really? You want to go there?
You're within arm's reach, Mike.
You
Remember
want to go toe to toe with
That's
me?
for sure.
Okay, fine. So the first one is the Venture Maine IPA. Credit to revel in the breadth of flavors and aromas that can be coaxed from hops. It's really interesting that they said this. Blend of hops in this beer provide rich flavors of berries, tropical fruit, citrus, pine without lingering bitterness. The yeast, the hop selection on this I thought was kind of cool. It's got Columbus, Cascade, Chinook, there's your onion, El Dorado, and
I like
Mosaic, one of my favorite loves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Yes. And then they're using British house yeast of some sort.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was cool. And this is one of those 8%. However, I don't feel like it tastes like an 8%.
Nope. Me either.
This is a
I like
tricky
this
beer.
one too.
And that's why I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And actually, as it's warmed up, I'm enjoying it even more.
Agreed.
It's becoming more citrus, and and more balanced. And, maybe it was just the coldness in the can. And I'm one of those girls that like, I'll take a couple sips when it first, taking it out of the fridge, and then I'll wait a little bit. Yes, I don't drink it all quite at once.
Caperton's one of those girls too.
Me too.
Good.
Me
Right.
too.
But now this has really opened up, and I've really enjoyed this even more. Okay, so I'm sorry you suckers didn't talk about it before, but
girlfriend, snip,
The
snap.
oats, it's a busy beer. It really is. There's a lot of ingredients there, a lot of hops.
I really like the mouthfeel on it too.
It's a lot going on.
It is. It's kind of deceiving, but I thought that was really beautiful. The other one that I wanted to talk about is the Burnside Brown from the same people at Foundation. So again, we had some naysayers. I won't say who they were in the beginning.
We're all looking at him.
Make a good brown. I will say good things.
I liked it.
See,
You're rude.
I
Okay?
I don't get the bitter finish that you claimed was in this beer.
Right, exactly. The nose on this is beautiful. It's very roasty.
Yeah.
The color on this is
over
exact.
roasted. That's what I wrote down. Over roasted.
Says the coffee nerd.
Burnt coffee. I have to agree.
Get out.
I'm sorry.
Burnt
I
coffee.
did not
Some of
take.
the worst French roasts.
I did not. smell.
Italian roast. This was
Like,
full Italian.
Killing it for me. They're
Like,
killing the beer for me.
Luigi, take the coffee beans out of the roaster. Hey, just gonna leave them in just a little bit longer.
So this is
You
like
smell of something. Yes, it's a burning.
this is like late Friday office coffee to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's a
This
very
doesn't taste
good
like a cup
description.
of coffee. It tastes like maybe a coffee bean. Like if you
I don't
chewed on
see.
a coffee bean.
It is definitely roast
I
forward.
like it.
In the aroma, but I think it's nice.
Okay, can you let me finish here?
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Go ahead.
Jeez.
Sorry for trying to agree with you.
I wasn't.
Okay, next of all, the color. Okay, browns can be a delicate balance of what is dark and then what is bordering into stout country. This is a gorgeous color.
It is right in the crotch.
Exactly.
Of brown.
Wait a minute.
right in the middle.
I don't know the
right in the middle.
Center mass.
Maine. Not Mast.
Right,
It's a sack
right.
kick right there.
Okay, fine.
I was thinking about Mike's.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I thought this was, perfect in color. And I like there is some oats in there and it gives it this nice little smoothness, just enough, not too much to go into stout country.
Just a little bit of silkiness. there.
Exactly. And
Welcome to Stout Country.
Okay. Just, and I guess they must be using a proprietary British house yeast because they used it again for this beer as well as the Venture Maine. But again, I thought it was really good. And it's nice that a brewery is making a brown ale, first of all, because most people just go from pales to IPAs to stouts, maybe a Hefe in the middle. And that's it. So yay for brewing this.
Yeah.
And I'm totally enjoying it. And I'm sorry you suckers don't like this as well.
It's got a nice sweetness, like right in the middle of it,
Yes.
in the flavor.
Yeah. And so they talk about
That's
having
sweet.
like burnt sugar and chocolate in there. And I think that's just like the many layers of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And this one is only 5.1%. So I'm really impressed by that too.
I think people who get too much bitterness out of this beer should probably look inward, and that's where they'll find their bitterness.
Cold, bitter hearts.
All right.
I wrote that it had a baker's chocolate. Sort
I'm
of.
not going to read what I
Yeah.
wrote because
Don't. That's okay. We don't need to know.
it changed. Well,
Oh.
well, that's what I'm saying is. So this was the first beer.
It got worse.
Oh my God. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Getting a little red there, sir?
That could happen. Yeah, this got so much worse than what I wrote down originally.
I hated it, but now I want to kill it.
Yeah,
Actually, I
wrote
want to
down
go.
not worthy, but it's really not worthy.
I want to build
now.
a time machine so I can go back before they brewed it and kill everyone, so that it's never even made.
Well, I thought it did improve with a little bit of time, and I think as it warmed up a lot better, and all of that. And I thought the way that Dave was describing that taste profile, that it has kind of this sweetness in the middle of, the taste itself is kind of coming in. And, I think some of the other things I wrote down here are not applicable, as it's warmed up.
Are we recording this?
We are. It's crazy.
Still staying with Nanny Nancy or the, naysayer Nancy.
Nancy. That's a childhood story.
It is. Yeah. I'm not even going to go there. But I'm glad that you liked it. So.
Yeah. Yay, Julie.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
There's the olive branch.
What's the other 7 beers you want to talk about?
Okay, well, first of all, before we lose track of time, we essentially have talked about everyone but one, and I'm saving a special moment for that one.
Dun, dun,
yes.
dun.
I wanted to go over our collective thoughts on each one of these beers.
Sure.
You got your trigger ready there, buddy?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So the first one, and this is in no particular order or anything like that. Rising Tide, the Maine Island Trail Ale, we rated that a 3. And the Sou'Wester Sour IPA from Rising Tide, oddly enough, we rated it a 2, although some of us liked it more than others.
And
people who didn't like it really didn't like it.
Yes. The Gunner's Daughter Milk Stout from Mast Landing, we gave that a 4.
Hey, Mast Landing.
The Daikaiju Double IPA from Banded Horn Brewing Company,
We gave that a 5, right?
we gave it a 3, though some people did like it more than others.
Some liked it less.
Yes. A Beer Has No Name Double IPA from Liquid Riot. Some of us really liked it more than others, but somehow the consensus said this was a 2. And I think that the counts are not correct on that.
I think it sucks.
I think that sucks. I think it sucks.
You know what? You have your opinion.
No, I was talking about the overall.
Oh.
I like that beer, so
Yeah.
I was saying.
Okay. The Waves Vic Secret IPA
Whoa,
from
you
Good
skipped
Fire.
one there.
Yes, I did, and that's
Okay.
because I'm discussing that one last.
I'm sorry. You have
Sorry,
a plan.
that's
I got in
called-
the way of the plan.
Jeez. From Good Fire Brewing Company, we gave that a 4.
Send 14 cases to.
I know, really. The other one from Good Fire Brewing Company, the Prime Citra IPA, some of us really liked that more so than others, so that one was our 5-star. God, that still gets to me sometimes.
That's how I wooed
Big
her.
one. It's a big one.
Wait, that's what she said.
Yep.
Ew.
That's how you wooed her.
Okay. The Burnside Brown Ale from Foundation Brewing Company. We gave that a 3 collectively, though some of us liked it more than others.
Yeah.
And the Foundation Brewing Company's Venture Maine IPA, we rated that a 3 as well. Now, the last one that I want to talk about, that we're all going to talk about
Prepare
and
thyself.
wonder about, is the Galaxy dry hopped kettle sour.
I would like to invite anyone from Four River Brewing to please turn this off right now.
Yeah.
Stop.
Or send us another.
Change our minds.
Yeah.
Stop. Okay. So we are talking
We were
about
unanimous, though, right? We should say.
We were.
It was
So-
unanimous.
For the first time.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Although
Okay.
I would say some of our facial expressions were a bit more animated than others.
So
Is that an epileptic fit, or is that how you feel about that beer?
You know, have you guys tried it since it warmed up?
well, and I'm going to speak so you guys can take an opportunity to try this again.
That means we should all shut up.
Yeah,
Try it again.
pretty much. Okay.
Try it again. Shut up.
So, Four River
hesitant.
Brewing Company in South Portland, Maine. Okay.
No.
This is a dry hopped kettle sour, 4% ABV
No, mummy.
with the notes of citrus and pineapple. Now, this is very.
Go ahead. Say it. Say what you're going to say, Julie. Say it.
It hurt my nose. That's what I wrote down. it hurt my nose.
You know, the aroma is worse than the flavor.
You're
Agreed.
right. Now that actually Dave's right. Now that it's warmed,
It's a little
it's twice as
sharp
worse.
on the nostrils.
it is very
that
dill.
like
It's
acetic?
very dill forward.
Is that like
Vinegar.
acetic acid?
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
that what that is?
Yeah.
Because it's vinegar
They've,
in the
they've
nose.
got a
Balsamic
process.
vinegar.
They've got a
Yeah.
process problem here, I think.
It's very balsamic vinegar.
It should not have gotten into a can.
But that said,
Maybe a garbage can.
that
That was mean. I shouldn't have said
That was
that. I'm
mean.
sorry. I take that back.
what do we think they used
I really
here?
don't.
What's the,
I was
is it
speculating.
Brett C or something? Do you think?
I
Or
think
was
what
it
they
C, or
used
it
is they
Citra?
had-
Tastes like Brett P.
They had like 3 of those packs of sweet tarts that got stuck in the bottom of somebody's shorts in 1974.
Shorts
And
they were wearing.
Yeah, and then
since
yeah,
1974.
it's like combined with sweat and goo when that kid was an 8-year-old and he grew up to be a
Don't
brewer.
say goo.
And then I could say something else that's not so PC. And then they dropped it into this brew kettle because it tastes like the sweet tarts from hell that were combined with this beer. It is,
Maybe that's what
it is
happened.
just so
Somebody
bad.
was in the brewery and they slipped and their shoe fell
I'm
off
telling
and
you.
fell
Kind of-
into the.
It's kind of funny that they
This
say
needs to be our primary export beer into Canada. That's what I'm telling you. We need
say
to.
fresh citrus is in the.
We need
is in the
to
spiel.
enrich the
It's like,
Canadian
no.
cultural experience with
We
this
need
beer.
to.
That's what we
We'll
should
send
do.
this to China. That'll teach them a lesson.
No.
Well, okay, so here's what I'm wondering is if maybe we just got a bad batch.
Negative.
And that's what I'm saying. They're welcome to
It
send
is
us
so
another.
bad.
Change
Right.
our minds.
No, because if you look at Untapped and you look at Beer Advocate and some other things, there's a lot of people that truly enjoy this. And they even compare it to the Westbrook Goza. And we all love and enjoy the Westbrook Goza.
All those people can
Okay.
be wrong.
Okay, well, here's what I will say.
But what I'm saying is maybe there's an iteration of this that is kind of salty and maybe. Okay.
This
But-
is silly dilly.
But okay, now here's my brief conversation
Wait.
on kettle sours.
Wait, what did I just pour in this can?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez. Is this that beer? Yeah.
This is that beer.
Okay, try this can.
Try this can. Okay.
Maybe that first can was jacked up. It's not
Okay.
that bad.
Okay.
I don't think so. Well, this was a
No.
really
an
interesting
Okay.
flight.
No.
It's not good,
No,
but it's
I-
not as bad.
Okay.
You
Well,
yeah,
I think this
I
this
drank
was.
that from the can. It was I didn't get my nose in there for the pickle. I didn't get my nose in the pickle barrel there.
Okay.
That one's still colder.
So
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
okay, so here's my thoughts about the whole flight, and you guys can argue with me or whatever.
We will.
First of all, considering that we know that there are some breweries in the Northeast that provide a specific style of
Yep.
beer that we all know, love, and seek out,
Yeah.
I'm really impressed by the diversity of what is coming out of the Northeast now.
Well said.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I mean, they're still making, they make good stouts.
Yeah.
They
Yep.
make good browns.
Yep.
Granted, I couldn't find any weeders, or anything like that, but these IPAs are great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed.
Galaxy was a 1.
That was a 1.
0.
It was a 1.
Well, Maine, we do love you.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can catch all of our episodes, many thousands and thousands of episodes, online as well as on SoundCloud, TuneIn, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play, PRX, and Spreaker, our native media host. The easiest way to find the show on your phone is to ask Alexa, Siri, Aunt Martha, whomever, Google even. Play podcast Sips, Suds, and Smokes.
We love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com.
Our daily tasting notes. Tasting notes.
I hate you.
I rushed right out there. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter and Instagram every single day. Thanks to some of us here at Sips, Suds, and Smoke, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news.
Please take time to rate this episode if you're listening online.
Well, I want to thank all of our hosts, good old boy Dave.
Yes. If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you.
Too much
Is
of
that from the
Galaxy.
Kettle Sour?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thanks. Good old boy Caperton.
This has been fun. This was great. And let's stay vigilant against kudzu, folks.
Good old boy Drew. Thanks for being here.
So glad to be here, except for the galaxy.
And good old boy Mike.
My fellow beer drinkers, I want you to come back and join us once again for another exciting episode of Sip, Suds, and Smokes. I'll ask you to keep on sipping.
Everyone, thanks for being with us and getting through this episode with us.
Oof.
Have a good night.
Hold my hand.
Or day or whatever. Oh, I'm not going to hold your hand. I don't know where it's been.
That's not his hand.
Spoon.
Keep on chugging, folks, and talk to you later.
This has been a One Tan Hand production of Sip, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see y'all next time.